All right, here it is. Pete Prisco's top 10, his brand new power rankings. The top 3 remain the same. Chiefs, Packers, Saints, 1, 2, 3. The top 10's biggest riser, look at the Arizona Cardinals, up 6 spots to number 8. The biggest faller in the top 10, San Francisco, down 5 spots to number 9. Okay, so I'm Chris Hassell with Brady Quinn. We have Pete Prisco with us, along with Danny Cannell. Pete, part of me thought that you were going to put the Green Bay Packers number 1 just to say, I told you so.
No, I wouldn't do that. I have them where they're supposed to be. The Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the league, but the Green Bay Packers, in my mind, are the second best team in the league, and they showed that last week. For all the grief I took and all the everybody picking me apart on Twitter and on this show, I was right about the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. He's still an elite quarterback. He showed that the Packers are for real.
Pete taking a victory lap here after week 1.
Well, they're his rankings. He's going to think he's right every week. He's the one who does them. It's like you can't argue with this guy. Look, Pete, I will say this. You were right about the Packers. However, I don't necessarily know that anyone thought the Packers were going to be bad this year. At least, I mean, I wasn't in that category. But, look, bottom line is you were right about the Packers. They looked phenomenal playing on the road versus a divisional opponent, the Minnesota Vikings. So we got to give you some credit there. However, you get the Tampa Bay Bucks still in the top 10. To me, they didn't look good. And I know they were playing on the road versus another divisional opponent, maybe the best team in the NFC or one of the best, in your opinion, based on your rankings. But bottom line is the Tampa Bay Bucks team doesn't deserve to be in that top 10 conversation just because Tom Brady's there. Eventually, can we see this team play some good football? Then can we anoint them as a top 10 team?
But who would you put ahead of them? The Patriots?
The team
the
right
Rams?
behind them. Yes, they're 1-0 right now, and they look pretty darn good.
Are those two teams better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I put the Patriots ahead of them right now, yes. Because I know you're down on their defense, but their defense looked a lot better than the Tampa Bay Bucks defense did.
They played the Miami Dolphins at home, Brady.
And it wasn't even close.
This week when you see what Tom Brady does against Carolina's bad defense, then you're going to come back to me and you say, you know what? They should have been in the top 10.
Hey, Danny, what'd you make of the top 10 from Pete today?
First of all, Chris, I echoed your thoughts. To our email to Jack, I actually said exactly what you said. I said, I can't believe Pete doesn't have the Packers 1 to do that. Congrats to you, though. Aaron Rodgers is going to be on a scorched earth tour this year. It does feel like it. And his performance there got off to a really strong start. If you took him for MVP, I think you might be loving that pick right now. I looked at the 49ers, and I had them still in there in the top 10. I'm down on the 49ers. I would flip-flop them with the Rams. I thought the Rams were more impressive, clearly. Aaron Donald, the defensive presence was there. I do feel like Jimmy Garoppolo, there's an element of his game that just is missing. And I don't know if Kyle Shanahan really is truly in love with Jimmy Garoppolo for the long term there. And more concerns than it was about Garoppolo, the quarterback, and kind of the hangover from playing in the Super Bowl. It is that defense. DeAndre Hopkins absolutely shredded them with a career-high performance, 14 catches, 151 yards. That, to me, might be the bigger concern, as well as that hangover effect coming out of the Super Bowl. So I would have swapped out the Rams with the 49ers.
Yeah, and I thought about that, but I just think that the 49ers had one of those games where you lose a game late to a pretty good team, and I said the Cardinals might be a playoff team this year. That's a tough one to drop down that far. 5 spots is a pretty big fall. I'm worried about the 49ers secondary. And you mentioned Hopkins lighting him up. That one other corner opposite Sherman's a problem. It's been a problem. And they don't have any weapons. Until they get some weapons back outside, it's hard to evaluate them. So it was a tough one for me, but 5 spots is a pretty good fall for the 49ers.
My last question for Pete is, Pete, you had the Eagles ranked 8th. You dropped them all the way out of the top 10 to 16. Come on, it was one game, man. Have you lost complete faith and hope in Carson Wentz and the Eagles this year?
No, but I'll tell you what, those injuries, Brady, they're starting to really mount and they're starting to impact who he is as a quarterback. He pressed too much. He turned the ball over. He was one of those guys in a situation where you're up 17 points, you're supposed to put that game away, and they didn't. So, yeah, there's concern, and I did drop them down a little bit. I still think they're going to be the team to beat in that division, but they need to get healthy, and they need to do it quickly because they play the Rams this week. But here's an early lock. They'll win. They'll beat the Rams.
Hey, Danny, the Falcons are sitting there at number 18. We know they can put up points. Matt Ryan and those receivers went nuts in fantasy, but they never really challenged the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, so this to me is more about the opponent, right? We were talking about earlier about, the Bucs playing against the Saints. They get a pass. Yeah, the Browns playing against the Ravens, favored to win the division. That's a pass. I feel like this is more about the Seattle Seahawks and how great they looked than it is about the Falcons. Like, I'm not in panic mode about the Falcons just yet. Coming into the season, I felt like they had an outstanding chance to maybe even make the playoffs and get 3 teams in there. I think Brady was on board with that as well. So it's not time to throw out the Falcons just yet. So I think it's a little bit too far of a drop for them now. Definitely have issues that they have to make up for, but that was a really good Seahawks team that I think is going to win that division and make a deep run in the playoffs. So I wouldn't be panicked over the Falcons just yet.
Yeah, and I was with you guys. I thought they'd be the 3rd playoff team in that division, and they didn't play very well on defense. I mean, Matt Ryan put up a bunch of numbers, but they had to because the defense was atrocious. They have to be better on that side of the ball, but kudos to Russell Wilson and kudos to Pete Carroll. For years, I've been begging him, please, Pete, let Russell Wilson throw the football on early downs and early in the game. Let him dictate tempo. What'd he do? He did it, and he lit them up. I think they need to continue to play that way.
Here we go, 2020. Pete Prisco now trying to become a head coach in the NFL. And by the way, it's called hashtag Let Russ
GM,
Cook.
head coach, all of it.
It's called hashtag Let Russ Cook. You can go ahead and put that out there on Twitter. Pete, my biggest question for you is the Raiders. I thought offensively, Derek Carr, they looked pretty darn good. There's maybe some reservations about their defense, but it is week 1. They went on the road. They got to win. Come on, are you just kind of giving up hope with them? You got them ranked 19th.
I just don't think they're a very good team, Brady. I just don't.
Well, what is it, their defense then?
You'll see more.
You're boys with Paul Gunther.
I don't think they're... Yeah, their defense didn't... I don't think they have enough talent on that side of the ball. I think when you look at the offense, I think when it gets against a really good defense, I think Derek Carr will wilt. I don't believe in that team. And you know what? We'll see next week because, they play Monday night against a really good football team that just whacked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, that would be the New Orleans Saints. Looking at the bottom of Pete Prisco's power rankings, and you could see the whole thing on CBSSports.com, dead last is the Jets. There are a couple teams that got surprising home victories, Jacksonville and Washington.
Jacksonville's 1-0. The former home of one Pete Prisco, and he's got him ranked behind the Lions, the Browns, the Bengals. Come on, Pete. Gardner Minshew looked fantastic. The defense did enough. They got some turnovers from Phillip Rivers. I mean, what's the deal here? You're the mayor of Jacksonville.
That was one of the most misleading victories I've ever seen, and here's why. Do you realize
you
that the
picked
Colts
Indy to win the division?
Punt?
Is that why?
They didn't punt. The Colts didn't punt. They had over 440 yards of offense and did not punt the football and lost. I mean, that doesn't happen. Look, give Jacksonville credit. I told you I thought they'd be feisty all year long, but they really shouldn't have won that game. And give them credit for winning it, but they're not a good football team. And you'll find out this week when they go to Tennessee. They've won 6 times in their history in Tennessee. It ain't going to be 7, I can tell you that.
I'm with Brady on this one. I was shocked to see the pride of Jacksonville, Pete Prisco, have the Jaguars this low. Like, you are the most popular celebrity in that town. So I was shocked at this one. But I do feel like, he can't go anywhere without getting harassed for selfies and autographs. But I do feel like this team, I thought the Gardner Minshew storyline coming in this year was going to be really interesting to watch. A forgotten about guy in the NFL draft last year, takes over the reins, has an awesome season. Minshew Mania takes Jacksonville by storm, but there's still this thought process of, well, Trevor Lawrence is coming. Trevor Lawrence is coming. They're going to tank for Trevor, and they're going to be in that mix. 19 of 20? Are you kidding me? 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I thought he played close to flawless. This team, though less talented, without the likes of Leonard Fournette sending him off, Jalen Ramsey, letting guys go left and right, they might be a better team because of some of the bigger personalities that they've gotten out of there. And there is something special about them. So I think you have them too low. I'm not predicting them to make a playoff run, but I think maybe you see Gardner Minshew hang on to that starting job, which might be one of the biggest storylines as it impacts Trevor Lawrence's future in the NFL.
And maybe those Jaguar fans are finally making a difference. The only fans allowed at games on Sunday and Monday, and they did get that home victory despite not forcing a single punt. Again, you can find Pete Prisco's power rankings, the whole thing, on CBSSports.com. But here is the only place you're going to get Brady and Danny going at Pete for those rankings.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.